Good afternoon, sir, and good afternoon to my fellow classmates. I am Judilyn F. Alas, the first reporter. So this chapter introduces history as discipline and as narrative. And these are the following learning objectives. If you probably remember one thing of history, maybe that's how boring it could be. It's boring because we don't know what history should be for and why study history. This will also be discussed for the chapter 1, so stay tuned until the end of this video. If we are asked about what is history, the usual thought that comes to our mind is the study of the past. A lot of dates, events, names to memorize, which is not wrong, but it does not give justice to the complexity of the subject. History comes from the Greek word historia, which means knowledge acquired through inquiry or investigation. It existed about 2,400 years ago, which is older than mathematics and philosophy. Way back then, ang mga traditional historians or people from the past live with the mantra no document, no history, and they just passing their history by the word of mouth, which is mahirap gawin ngayon sa kasalukuyan. Until the early 20th century, history became an important discipline. So why does it become an important discipline?
Because it can study everything from people to events to time periods to civilization and much more. It gives us better understanding of our past to improve our present.
Historians focus more on writing the lives of the important individuals like kings, saints, events like wars and revolutions that need to be nourished, treasured, and preserved. And nowadays, what we need is good ideas, and history is full of them. Just like us, everyone has a past and a story to tell what has been. Pero, people tend to say that history repeats itself, but if we're able to study its success and failures, we are able to learn and avoid them in the future. That's why history is important and it contributes to what we are today. As history progressing, nag-open up siya possibility of valid historical sources like government records. Since history is naga-progress, it turned into a complex and dynamic inquiry. Such questions like, what is history? Why study history? And history for whom? And those questions can be answered by historiography, which means history of history. And what are the differences between historiography and history? So, if a history is the object of the study of the past events and the causes of such events, historiography is the body of the historical work on a specific topic, meaning more on specific topic. Like I want to choose historiography of Catholicism, which talks about the origin of the religion. So it studies the best way to interpret the historical sources or contexts that are provided by the history. They also provided understanding of facts and historical context, methods employed, theory and perspective, so that a reader can have a better understanding of history. The purpose of historiography is to look on how other people have written about and interpreted it in another subject. So now let's move on to the next topic, positivism. So positivism emerged in the 18th and the 19th century, which requires empirical and observable evidence before one can claim that a particular knowledge is true. Just like in a crime scene, if you are able to collect physical evidences, then you can claim that the certain person is guilty and why and how the crime has occurred. Remember the mantra no evidence, no history. This is where historians required to show primary documents to be objective and impartial. Post-colonialism emerged in the 20th century and it looks or review two things in writing the history. first is to tell the history of their nation that will highlight their identity, to criticize their methods, effects, and ideas. Just like si Dr. Jose Rizal and ang mga Ilustrados wrote about history intended to the Spaniards so that they can realize that Filipinos are not slaves and Filipinos have their own culture and intellect.